Hello, movie lovers! Today we're going to go back in time and take a look at that 1979 haunted house in space movie that James calls a classic of sci-fi filmmaking. Alien! Alien, of course, was directed by Sir Ridley Scott. Besides directing Alien, Ridley Scott has directed many other movies that James worships and adores. These movies include Blade Runner, starring Indiana Jones, or Han Solo. Same difference. I get these two guys confused. Ridley Scott also directed Gladiator, starring the guy who played Robin Hood. Ridley Scott also directed Robin Hood, starring the guy that played Gladiator. And Ridley Scott also directed Kingdom of Heaven, starring Orlando, Florida. You know, the elf guy from the Lord of the Onion Rings movies. Pretty good action films. But as far as I'm concerned, Ridley Scott has a permanent blot on his record for bringing one of the most infamous chick flicks of all time to the silver screen. Yep, I'm talking about Thelma and Louise! If I won a contest and I had a chance to meet Ridley Scott and talk to him, I would ask him one question and one question only. Ridley, what were you thinking when you put Thelma and Louise into that cheap-ass Ford Thunderbird convertible? You put them in a car and directed them to drive that car off a cliff at the Grand Canyon. What were you thinking? Even a moron like James knows that Ford Thunderbirds do not have the horsepower to fly across the Grand Canyon. Here's some free advice. If you ever plan on remaking Thelma and Louise, I recommend you put them in a Back to the Future DeLorean retrofitted with hover conversion upgrade instead. This way you could fly them across the Grand Canyon and land them safely. Heck, you can even take them back in time as well. And instead of shooting some dude at a honky-tonk, they could fly back to Los Angeles and shoot the screenwriter that got them into this awful mess in the first place. Ha 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 ha! And once they get to the other side of the Grand Canyon and make their escape from the law, think of the sequels you could make. Thelma and Louise Meet Frankenstein, with guest appearances by Dracula and the Wolfman. Thelma and Louise Meet Godzilla, or The Mummy. The list of possible sequels are endless. That is, unless you, Sir Ridley Scott, are too proud to make a sequel. Michael Bay's not too proud to make sequels. He makes 1,000,000 of them. And by the way, I am tired of waiting for him to direct a sequel to Pearl Harbor. And at this point, I just don't think it's going to happen. But you, sir, or should I say Sir Ridley, you're Hollywood royalty. You don't make sequels. You make prequels. Prequels like Prometheus. A kind of, sort of, maybe prequel to Alien. I didn't see it, but that's what I've heard. Well, sorry, Sir Ridley. You didn't get any of my hard-earned money on this one. I don't have to fork over good money to have some big, ugly, hairless goon with a constant scowl and a bad attitude running around terrorizing people for no good reason. I can have that for free every Wednesday when James works the counter at his comic shop. So, Mr. Ridley Scott, excuse me, Sir Ridley Scott, let me do you a professional favor. I'm here today to offer you some free career advice. I think it's time that you start to make remakes of your films before the studios hire directors like Michael Bay and Brent Ratner and they beat you to it. I think you should start with your 1979 film Alien, which James thinks is a classic. And this time, with my help, you can get it right the second time and start to make remakes better than the originals.
Excuse me, but did I just hear you say you're giving suggestions to one of the most brilliant and honored filmmakers of our time on how to remake his classic film Alien?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. You got a problem with that?
Yes, yes I do have a problem with that. And so will all of our YouTube subscribers. They'll have a major problem with that. And so will Sir Ridley Scott.
They won't once they and you listen to what I have to say. So listen up, meatball. Suggestion number 1. Before you start to remake Alien, do your homework about space. The first and final scenes of your movie Alien are scientifically inaccurate and totally unbelievable. The opening shot of the crew sleeping in their skivvies, not realistic. The last part of the movie, Ripley parading around in her tidy whities, also not believable. We all know she and the crew should have been walking around with no underwear at all. Why is that? Because George Lucas pointed out in Star Wars that there is no underwear in space. It's a scientific fact. Look it up. Suggestion number 2. And this suggestion actually has something to do with the number 2. Never again take a cat into space. Ever see a cat litter box react to zero gravity? I have, and it's an ugly sight. Not to mention, who would want to be in an airtight spaceship that smells like cat piss? And by the end of the movie, even the alien was sneezing and coughing up hairballs. So, next time you want to bring a cat on board a ship, bring a Chia Pet cat along instead. They don't shed. Suggestion number 3. Never, ever take a robot like Ash into space with you. They are undependable. When robots like Ash break, and they do break, or when you have to break them into little pieces because they're trying to kill you, their heads come off and their innards spill out. Ash's innards looked like he drank 5 gallons of buttermilk and ate his weight in fettuccine alfredo. I'm just saying. Suggestion number 4. Next time, don't hire Tom Skerritt to fly your ship. Tom Skerritt is not qualified to be a ship's captain. In your original version of Alien, he botched up the mission. His whole crew dies, with the exception of Ridley and her cat. So yeah, you did a fantastic job of an inadequate captain, Mr. Skerritt. If Ridley Scott had done his homework on this guy, he would have discovered that Tom Skerritt was not commanding officer material. He was a drunken doctor in MASH, and in Top Gun, Tom Skerritt was the commanding officer that made the fatal mistake of allowing Tom Cruise to fly a jet airplane. Very fatal. Very fatal to Goose, his co-pilot played by Anthony Edwards. Both Tom Skerritt and Tom Cruise are responsible for killing Goose. And both Toms are responsible for sending Anthony Edwards to the ER for 8 years. Nice work, Tom Skerritt. Please stay away from my career while you're at it. Talk to me, Goose! So, Sir Ridley, no more Tom Skerritt. For this remake, this time put Chris Christopherson in the captain's chair. He and Tom Skerritt look alike anyway. You can call him Captain Dallas too, and no one will ever be able to tell the difference. In my opinion, this remake of Alien could have a snappy song or two. And Chris Christopherson can sing! Freedom's just another word for nothing left of news. Feeling good was good enough for me. Good enough for me and my alien McGee. Na 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 na. Or better yet, he can sing Help Me Make It Through the Night. And he won't even have to change the words to the lyrics. Suggestion number 5. Space eggs. Do not, under any circumstances, let your crew bring space eggs they find in a derelict spaceship aboard your ship. I repeat, do not let these eggs on your ship. You do not eat space eggs. Space eggs eat you. Space eggs do not travel well. Space eggs do not digest well. And they will end up digesting you. They tend to come up on you when you're having breakfast, along with your bacon, sausage, liver, spleen, and small intestine. Ugh. Anyway, suggestion number 6. Make your new crew observe table manners at all times. And if someone on your crew does swallow an alien, or is getting swallowed by an alien, make him spit it out before he comes to the dinner table with the rest of the crew. And don't stand around taking pictures and laughing at the poor guy or gal. It'll only make him feel worse. And it's not polite. And if during dinner the alien does burst through his chest, kill it immediately. Well, unless it's the chestbuster sings and dances like the one in Spaceballs. Now that little fellow was an entertainer. He was fun to watch and worth keeping around. Okay, moving right along. Suggestion number 7. If some loser on your crew does get egg on his face, or some squid-like thing's trying to eat his face, don't bring him or the squid-like thing on board the ship, even if he is a friend of yours. Next time, try listening to the hot chick on the radio when she yells at you to follow your own stupid protocol and leave him outside. And if you do decide to bring that crewman aboard, here's a simple piece of advice. Shoot the asshole in the face. Then peel the alien off his face and shoot that piece of shit in the face too. If you can find his face. Might have made for a shorter movie, but at least you would have spared the audience Alien 3 and Alien 4 for starters. And Ridley, as far as I'm concerned, you have the Alien vs. Predator franchise on your conscience as well. May God have mercy on your soul. I would have added Alien to that list of bad sequels, but clearly that fine film does not belong there. James Cameron had to stick his nose in there and make a modern classic out of the sequel to your original film, which of course you, Mr. Scott, were too good to stoop to doing. Suggestion number 8. Take a cue from James Cameron and don't go into space without proper weaponry. I mean, come on. Who knows what you'll come across out there in the dark reaches of space? And all you have are some flamethrowers? For what, roasting marshmallows? This might work for fighting Ghostbusters Gozer, who was a big marshmallow, but in this universe, this alien isn't a marshmallow. So, any crew that isn't armed to the teeth deserves to have their miserable lives taken by your unfriendly neighborhood alien. Bring pepper spray at the minimum. That stuff works. Suggestion number 9. Respect the moviegoer's intelligence. How in the hell do you expect us to believe that something that looks like a slimy turd with a mouthful of teeth turns into an 8-foot-tall monster with a head like an eggplant in just an hour? Come on, man! Everyone knows it takes an hour and 15 minutes for that little squirt to grow up and find his space legs. Suggestion number 10. When it comes to building a better monster, go in a new, different direction this time. The face hugger, chest buster, and the big guy. It's been done! You and H.R. Giger did it already. Time to freshen things up. This go around, don't hire H.R. Giger to do the creature design again. Giger is way too expensive these days anyway. This time, go in a different creative direction.
Excuse me, but I'm afraid to ask. What new creative directions are you suggesting that Sir Ridley Scott follow for this unnecessary remake of Alien that you wish him to make?
Alien is supposed to be a haunted house in space movie, right? So, this go around, don't beat around the bush. This time, let the guy playing the alien run around the spaceship like he did in the original. But this time, have him wear a William Shatner mask, like the one Michael Myers wore on the original Halloween movies. Or, put a hockey mask on the alien and call it a day. Same difference. Either way, it will definitely be an improvement over that fake-looking face hugger thing. By the way, I wonder where did Ridley Scott and Giger find that lame-ass looking thing anyway?
Hey, I've been meaning to tell you this the whole time. It looks like you have something crawling up your shirt.
What do you mean?
Like I said, it looks like you have something crawling up your shirt.
Where? Ah!
Huh. I wonder where that came from. I guess facehuggers are real. And I think this is the longest that Zig has ever been able to keep his mouth shut. Between you and me, while I'm tempted to have that on him all weekend, the last thing we need is an alien version of that little orange bastard running around bothering people. So in the interest of public safety, I better go and get that facehugger off of him right now. So stick around, and I'll be back with some serious thoughts and some honest praise and respect for Sir Ridley Scott and his classic film, Alien. Hey gang, DVD collector back in the movie room, and thank you for sticking through Zig Destroys Aliens. It was definitely a ride. So let's change gears and get a little bit more positive on this, on one of my favorite films of all time. Definitely within my top 5 favorite films. It is my favorite sci-fi horror movie ever, and that is Ridley Scott's masterpiece, Alien. Now, a lot of people enjoy Aliens more than Alien, and I understand that. It is a thrill ride. It is an action film. But this 1979 classic, haunted house in space movie is everything that I want in a film. This is controlled completely by environment and mood and music, and just a great piece of cinematic history. I love this film so much. Now let's get into this a little bit. Of course, directed by Sir Ridley Scott, one of my favorite directors of all time, and also starring Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, Veronica Cartwright, and John Hurt, with a beautiful, creepy score by Jerry Goldsmith. And without him, the movie may have been just another sci-fi boring movie. And true, it takes a little bit of time to get into the story, but it's so well done and so well acted. This movie is, to me, it's really hard to tell that this movie was made in 1979. Still to this day, it sticks out. Now, there was a director's cut or special edition put out some years ago, and I still find myself watching the original. But most of the time nowadays, I watch the special edition with Ridley's commentary on it, and that's my favorite way to watch it because I've seen it so many times. I just like to listen to him. I always catch something new. Not only is, Alien one of the best sci-fi horror movies ever made, it also comes with it one of the creepiest monsters of modern day. The alien in this film is so monstrous and just everything that I hope aliens are when they invade. I mean, I'm joking around with that, of course, but that is what draws me to this film. And I am one of few people that can honestly say that I like all four versions, all four movies in this quadrilogy, plus Alien Predator, plus Alien Predator Requiem. I just like the character. I like the species so much that I don't think any of them are that bad. Now, of course, they do. Part 4 is probably my least favorite, but it goes in order: 1, 2, 3, and then 4. This being one of the best, to me, one of the best films Ridley Scott's ever made. And that's not to take anything lightly because he is a genius and he's made so many films. And they are all really, really good. He's a very talented director. But this movie always stands out to me as one of my absolute favorite films of all time. Now, what we have in this film is a lot of stuff going on in a short amount of time to get us to the haunted house feel. And what it is these space miners are drifting. They're woke up because of a distress call. They decide to go down and investigate, and then they make a bunch of bad decisions, and our creature ends up on the ship. We see everything from androids to beautiful women to great characters to the creature, which is the drawing point to this movie for anybody. Sigourney Weaver, one of my favorite female actors ever. Anything she does, I watch. Tom Skerritt, I've been a long-time fan of Tom Skerritt. And John Hurt as well, a great actor. So this movie goes down in the record books as definite top shelf material in the movie room for me and hopefully for you guys. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on Alien. Please also, in the comments box below, please let me know what you think of this video, the Zig part of it. I put a lot of time and effort into these, and they are, first and foremost, just fun to do. I probably watched that segment while filming it and editing probably close to 20-25 times, and I laughed anyway, no matter how many times I'd watched it. So I'd really like to hear your guys' input. And here's to another video. Hopefully I can keep the schedule to about one every 1.5 to 1 month. I try not to go over 2 months with one, but it is a lot of work. So stick with me and see what we come up with next time with Zig Destroys. So until next time, DVD Collector from the movie room thanking you, and that's it. So until next time, later.